don't matter.
Please do not sue us. All right, so welcome to the 2012 presidential debate brought to you by the Big Five. I would like to personally thank each and every one of them. Our sponsors today, Florida Tech College Radio. Our president, Brian Baum's are up front. He will be the official timekeeper and will be warning the presidential candidates on their time. Also like to thank our head of the Crimson, Miss Drew Lacey. She will be our official moderator for this evening. And our CAB president, Mr. Brian Lamb. He will also be assisting with timekeeping. And then in the back, doing our live streaming and filming, Mr. Luke Farrell, president of Channel 99. And that, I believe, is it. My name is Joseph Noel. I'm student body president, and I will be your host for this evening. At this time, I'm going to ask the moderator to come forward to give the guidelines and format for tonight's debate.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Drew Lacey, and I'm going to be the moderator for tonight's debate. For each question or topic that's covered, the candidates are going to get, the first candidate asked is going to get 2 minutes to say his part. Each of the other candidates will have a 1-minute rebuttal. They may get extra time at my discretion, but it will vary on the question. Candidates will know when they have 30 seconds left because Brian Baum's will be holding up a cautionary sign to let them know. And at 5 seconds left, they'll receive the stop sign to know that they need to stop, and anybody who goes over time will be stopped. So if you'd like to complete your thought, make sure you don't go over time. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Joe so that he can introduce our candidates.
Thank you. All right, our first presidential candidate, Mr. Andrew Hernandez, is a junior in chemical engineering. I'm sorry, we have quite a bit of aerospace engineering students. Here's Andrew. Our second candidate, Mr. Brian Tsai. Brian is a junior in aerospace engineering. Special junior, as you can see, 2 thumbs up. There it is. And our last presidential candidate, Mr. Gal Appelbaum. Another junior studying computer science. Our vice presidential candidates, our first one, Mrs. Carla Darras. Also a junior studying aerospace engineering. And Ms. Stephanie Donor. Who is also another junior studying oceanography. And our treasurers, our first one, Mr. Josh Goldfarb. Who is also a junior studying electrical engineering. And Mr. Masroor Rahman. Another junior studying aerospace engineering. And our last candidate, who couldn't be here, Mr. Vyam Shah, is a sophomore in computer engineering. So at this point in time, I'd like the presidential candidates to come forward, and I will hand it over to the moderator to start the debate.
So tonight we selected our first candidate to speak by random draw, and Andrew, you were chosen first. So our first question for the evening is, what is your first course of action for if you're elected to student government president, and what will that be?
My first course of action as student government president was to make sure that the new students are oriented, the new students that are being senators, that
start the top. So my first course of action as student government president, if I were to be elected, would be to make sure that the new senators and executive members are well-oriented and prepared, that they are in a process mindset, that they have a clear understanding of their goals, how to achieve them, projects that we're working on, that they understand the projects that we've been working on so that they can continue them, know where they are on the processes. The next step would be to develop a better means of communication with the students. We're very organizationally oriented. Organization members come to the meetings, but there's a lot of things that all the students need to know. So we need to be more comprehensive in our communication. And if that means creating new and better means of communication, that's something that we'll definitely look into.
Thank you. Next, Brian for a 1-minute rebuttal.
I totally agree with what Andrew Hernandez is saying, but my first course of action would definitely talk to Joe as the previous president, and I would try to get as much experience from him and or knowledge, and then I would go back and meet with the senators and exec board, and then draw plans for the coming semester, and then we'll work from there.
Gal?
Beyond what the both gentlemen here said, one of the most important things that is missing in student government is structure. Yes, we have the Senate and the executive board and all that is good, but there is no structure, there is no documentation. The transitions have been happening in a verbal way, so if Joe leaves or if anyone else leaves and you don't know something, it's very hard to find it. The first course of action for me would be, besides all that these guys have talked about, is get more structure into student government, make sure that everybody knows what their role is, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, and that everybody is on the same page. At the end of the day, student government should be more of a family. We should be able to communicate well, work well, and not necessarily just, see each other here once a week.
All right, thank you. Our next question will be directed to Brian.
Thank you.
Brian, what areas of student life do you feel should be improved and how?
I believe that student engagement across the entire campus is at a somewhat low. I would like to improve that with student collaboration between all the organizations. Certain universities, when they have like blood drives, only one club will do it, right? And then each club would alternate doing a blood drive. But if we try to include collaboration between all the organizations, we might have one really big blood drive, include the entire campus, and that would look really good on the campus.
Gal, 1-minute rebuttal.
I think that that's a great idea, but the problem is that the organizations lack this communication, not because it doesn't exist, but some of them just don't want to. I believe that student engagement is extremely important, and I agree with you, but one of the things that student government did this year, for example, is we gave out shirts. And those shirts did not only help increase school spirit, but also got the students into a point in which, hey, I like your shirt, I've seen that happening a lot. Student engagement is extremely important, and I cannot agree more with you. That's the first thing that we need to do with student life. But getting the organizations to communicate is not the bigger problem. The bigger problem are the people who are not in organizations to get them into organizations.
Thank you. Andrew?
Student engagement in organizations, for a lot of the organizations, is pretty poor right now. But there's also very well-organized organizations, Greek Life being a group of them, where they're powerhouse organizations. They do a lot of philanthropy. They don't have a lot of problems right now. I talked to Kat today, and that's an example of students being engaged and involved. The difference there is that they're achieving a lot. They have clear goals. They're well-organized, and there's a lot of quality within the organization. They have funding. They don't use all their funding. They use it wisely. A lot of the organizations now are getting it cut. I think we need to focus on the quality of the organizations, getting them better resources, and really working on from the start as freshmen to make sure that they're in the mindset of being active and staying within the organizations. Got to catch them early.
All right, thank you. Gal, you're next. Your question is, what is the most difficult decision that you have had to make, and how did you deal with it?
Well, it's funny because I think that the most decisive decision I ever made in my life was back in my senior year in high school when the person who was in charge of our yearbook left and left nothing behind. And he was a good friend of mine, and luckily I had enough knowledge to take over. So actually in my senior year I became an advisor for a class and actually taught a class while being a student. the biggest decision I had to make is who am I signing a contract with for publishing? And this contract is a $45,000 contract. So I was 17, didn't know what the heck a contract was, and I had to decide what to do with $45,000, and there is no option of not making a yearbook. The funny thing is that I signed it when I was 17, and I didn't know that was actually technically illegal because you're not allowed to sign any contract before you're 18. And yeah, that was a big decision. Luckily, that yearbook came out great, 306 pages, and I mean, that changed my life. That's where I learned to communicate with people, work in a team, being a leader of a team, since the group was 12 students and we had to communicate with our high school, middle school, and lower school who are all under the same school. So I kind of had to get to a point in which I get all these people wanting to work with me, collaborating with me, sending me their pictures, articles, and texts in order to get a great yearbook out. And I think that was the biggest decision, basically, who am I going to sign a contract with, and am I willing to be a senior student doing IB and an advisor as well?
Brian, same question to you. What's the most difficult decision you've had to make, and how did you deal with it?
I don't think there's a way to pinpoint difficult decisions in an entire life, like one moment. Everybody makes difficult decisions throughout their entire life every day. And I think that makes a real big point, that if you can make those decisions on a daily basis, then I think that makes you a good leader. If I did have to make a point, though, I believe that making hard decisions means you're making a sacrifice. I mean, that's a whole basis on why it's a hard decision. And I'm willing to always sacrifice if it's always for some sort of team. I'll always put my team first, and I'm always willing to put myself on the chopping block.
And same question to you.
My most difficult decision, and it's a decision that I have to make every day, you have to make every day, everybody has to make every day, is integrity. It's being honest with yourself, it's being honest with others. You have to practice it, you have to hold yourself accountable, you have to take responsibility for your actions, you have to have consistency in what you say and what you do. That's something that we struggle with every day. I struggle with it. I'm sure others struggle with it. That's because you are left with the decision between, a personal gain, a self-gain, where you may not be doing the right thing, and then making that sacrifice to do the right thing.
Thank you. The next question actually will stay with you, Andrew. The next question is, how do you plan to increase the power of student government?
Student government, just like most political organizations, really is a lobbying organization. It's about relationships with administrators, the school, students. You get people involved in a project. You communicate the goals of that project, the steps to take that project. You lobby it to the president, the vice provost, the department heads, directors, fundraising, the people that are in charge of it. You get them interested in it. You tell them how you want to do it. They help you achieve it.
All right, Gal, same question.
So power is a very interesting word to use for this question, because as the vice president of student government as of right now, I know what our influence at student government is on this campus, how the administration take us, and how does the board of trustees take us. And that kind of power, I think student government has reached a very good point. The power we don't have is the willingness of the Senate to do a lot more than beyond what we tell them, the willingness of the organizations to come here on a daily basis. It's a 1 minute question, okay. And that's why I would like to announce here that to solidify student government, I will be running as a president, and with me, Stephanie, I forgot your last name, my friend, sorry. Actually, Donor, right? I'm not crazy. Stephanie Donor and VM Shaw are running with me in order for us as a solid executive board to make things better around here, to do anything we can.
Same question. Okay. Well, if I had to say anything, I wouldn't want to increase power for student government. I would want to give power back to the organizations, because I think that's how student government receives power, is through the unit. As a student campus, that's how SGA gets power, is that if you guys seem powerful, that makes us look really good too. So my job is to help you look good.
All right, thank you. Brian, you're next for the next question, which is, what would you do as student body president to increase participation at SGA meetings?
Okay. I believe that's a really difficult point, is that all organizations have to deal with apathy. I mean, I know my organization has to deal with apathy on a daily basis. It's always difficult getting people to come out. And it's always, the reason that people don't want to come out is because they don't feel the incentive to come out. So if people get an incentive, a motive, some sort of desire, some sort of passion to come out to improve the campus, then I think that's a good way to get people to come out. And I think I can offer that in giving everybody some sort of passion to improve their school.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
I think it's really important that when they first become a member of student government, that you are clear with what they're going to be doing, that you show them the incentives to being a part of the organization. You have to get them excited. You have to get them actively engaged. They have to know what they're doing so that they're motivated. If you're doing homework, you don't know what to do, you're not going to be motivated to do it. They need to see why they're important, why the organization depends on them. If they feel that, that's pressure. When you're pressured to do your homework, you do it. But you also have to develop strong relationships with those members, with the people that are coming in, and you have to help them grow along with you. You can't do it alone.
All right, thank you. Gal?
There you go.
The use of the word pressure also, again, it's something that I would never like to use as a president of student government. I believe that if I'm pressured to do homework, I do it because I have to, not because I want to. My goal as a president of student government, if I get elected, is to get to a point in which the organizations realize that if they come here and talk to us and tell us what they want, how they want it, what changes they want, and we show them that we actually listen to them and implement what they ask, it'll give them more motivation to come here from their own will, talk to us, enjoy the meeting, not be here because we're forcing them to be here. We're not trying to put any pressure on an organization. We're trying to make them enjoy this meeting. And that can only happen if the executive board is solid, if the Senate is solid, and if we get things done. And that will only happen, again, if we're a family, if we work together.
All right, thank you. The next question is also for you, Gal. The question is, how do you plan to address the issue of apathy across campus?
That's a good question, actually, because during our National Student Government Summit, I had a big talk with a couple of other universities about this, including USF in St. Petersburg, I think, Petersburg. And the one way you get apathy on every other campus is by showing them that if they come here, they'll get something out of it. What can you get something out of it? I'm not trying to give them out cookies or shirts or free registration or anything like that. I want them to come out here saying, I learned something new. I know something better about my university. I learned that if I come here and voice my opinion, someone listens and someone does something about it. And apathy is not something you can deal with. It's something you gotta build with. It's relationships. It's making sure that when you come into the meeting, you know every single person sitting in this meeting, and if there's someone new, you make sure you know them by the end of the meeting, because that's the only way you get rid of apathy. And yes, we're a big campus. We can't hit them all. That's why we ask only for one, or if they want more, representatives of each organization to come, so we can get to know you guys better. Once I know any of you, I know what you look for, I see you on a daily basis, I can hear your opinions outside of here, and it just makes things a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. When I met every single person sitting here, and I know at least the majority, I know them on a personal basis to the point in which if they have a problem, if they have an issue, if they want to do something, they know to come to me if I'm the appropriate person to help them, obviously. Apathy is not something you pressure out. Apathy is something you get rid of slowly and steadily, kind of like a back rub. It slowly fades away.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
I think we need to redefine pressure. When you have an organization depending on you, you have strong relationships with people in it. You know exactly what you do. Your goals are clear. You're communicating well with members. You have people depending on you. That pressure isn't like finishing your homework. That pressure is that you want to do well and do what you need to do for those others that you have that relationship, because they're depending on you and they're looking for you to succeed. You can also get them to help. More importantly, the issue is with relationships is with motivation. It's having clear goals. It's being clear, step-by-step process thinking. That way they know what to do. They can take the steps, and they're motivated to do it. The big thing's motivation. It's catching them when they first come and making sure that they get actively involved, that you are helping them grow, and that's the incentive right there. The incentive isn't materials, it's values.
Brian, 1 minute rebuttal.
I totally agree with what Andrew is saying, that apathy is something you have to work on. I was just talking about it with my last question, but if I had to deal with apathy, like I said, I would try to give people a motivation. And it really isn't about material gain or social gain. It's all about personal gain, growing as a person. And I think if you give people opportunities to grow, they're going to take a chance at it, and they're going to do well. And I have total faith in the student body and the senators and just everybody here in general, that everybody can do a good job if I give them opportunities.
Thank you. The next question goes to Andrew. Andrew, what do you say to a student who complains that tuition is rising and financial aid isn't rising with it?
That's a very, very, very important question, and that is something that just came up with Angie and I's meeting with the director of fundraising. We're working on a new scholarship for the students. It's going to be an endowment. It's first to help retention and those with high academic standards to help the school. But more importantly, one of the things I talked to her about was the fact that we have enrollment growing, and since we're a nonprofit institution, we work off of donations. So our pool for fundraising is dependent on those donations, and it may not be growing as fast as enrollment. I'll have to explain that to them, and it's hard right now, especially with the school cutting a lot of funds, the enrollment growing. The focus would really be on strategic financing. You'd have to get more endowments. You'd have to have those interests growing. So you want to set up a system where that pool's growing. I mean, if a student asks me that, I have to explain that to them, and I'd have to say, if you really want to see it help, I mean, we can't help you necessarily right now, but there's students in the future that we can help, and you can get involved in that so people aren't in your same situation.
Brian, 1 minute rebuttal.
If I had to address tuition costs, I want to say I would try to work with the administration and mention things like sustainability. Sustainability is a really simple idea. It's how we interact with our environment, right, and how we can do it in the long term. So if I increased sustainability, like if we turned off lights and increased like input motion sensors inside the labs in Olin, instead of keeping the lights on all night, that would, like at the University of St. Louis, they saved them in a year $56,000 just on their electric bill. That was like 4% of their entire budget. And if we did things like that, just implemented new programs where we could save money instead of trying to raise more money from the students or from fundraisers, and I think it's just a reevaluation of our resources.
Gal, 1 minute rebuttal.
Brian, I love how you touched on sustainability, because actually that was one of my big topics. As vice president, one of my projects is to be in touch with the Student Organization for Sustainability Actions and with Dr. Lindemann's minor in sustainability. We're working currently, as you guys might have seen or will see in the next edition of the Crimson, I hope. We've been working with them on 5 different projects around campus that could help improve the use of utilities around campus. But I think that the students need to know, not even talking about that, the fact that if they have a problem, you can yell at it and say, I have a problem, or you can think about a solution. If we are talking sustainability, then if the students have a problem, instead of saying we have a problem, join us in the move of sustainability. If the university sees there's enough students, a lot of students pushing for something, they will do it. We just need to, instead of everybody go on their own and yell and say, I hate this, unite under one cause to see how we can help.
Thank you. Brian, your question is, do you feel that the university president and executive board make decisions that benefit the student body as a whole?
That's a good question, actually. Okay, I'm not at a loss for words. I'm just
Look at the draw. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of, man. I would like to think that they do, and if there are obviously issues, then I would obviously want to bring. And if people came to me, I would obviously bring that back up to the president. I mean, I am the liaison between the student body and the administration. So if there is an issue and there is a decision that did affect us negatively or adversely, then I would like to really draw on that and make it a point to the president that he really should be contacting the student body and the SGA. So,
Gal, 1 minute rebuttal.
Could you re-ask the question, please, before starting the clock?
Do you feel that the university president and the executive board make decisions that benefit the student body as a whole?
I will say, from the honest point of view, yes and no. Some decisions you guys might not understand how they benefit you, but at the end of the day, the executive board and administration need to do things for the university, not only in the short run, but in the long run. A big example is Panther Dining Hall. When Panther Dining Hall opened, the administration and dining services decided we need to change the meal plans so that more people go to Panther Dining Hall to start this little push of people going to Panther Dining Hall. And once we have an established crowd in Panther Dining Hall, we can change the meal plans back. Unfortunately, some students got caught in that transition process, and it happens at every university. Yes, the president always has you guys in mind, and as a matter of fact, the provost does as well. And they sometimes make decisions that while you guys don't see them benefiting you right now, in the long run, in the next few years, even with you being here, you will see the difference.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
My answer is going to be on film, so I think it's their whole job is to do what's best for the university, and their whole job is to do what's best for the students. They're making decisions based off what they feel is best, what they get feedback back, what feedback they get from students, what the university needs. It's a balance. You take from one area, and then you're going to lose in another. You take from one area, and you could gain in both. It could be a win-win, but it's a balance. They have to make the decision that's best overall. And you may not always agree with that because you may be the one getting hurt while others are getting helped. And that may seem unfair to you, but I'm sure if you understood the big picture of the situation, you would understand that it was what's best with what they have.
Thank you. Gal, the next question goes to you. With the new Florida Tech Commons opening across the street on Babcock, how will you address the issue of safety while crossing the street, as well as reducing the overall number of incidents on campus?
Well, that's an interesting question. The one thing we talked about in student government for the things around campus is the light-up crosswalks, which you guys might have seen has been a propaganda, not a propaganda, but one of the moves that one of our presidents would like to do. However, in research, we have found that eventually it would be way too expensive. The smallest company that I found that does these start at $14,000 per crosswalk. $14,000 per crosswalk is a lot of money, and when student government's budget is under that for a whole year, I wonder where we'll pull money to get that done. But in terms of the commons, the problem with the commons is that Babcock is obviously a hurricane emergency road, so this is something that needs to be worked with the city. I think that there is no answer as of right now to what we can do, because this is something that is not necessarily only the university's work, but it's something that Melbourne City need to deal with as well. And if they decide not to, if they decide to do, it's something we need to go through. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that the president of student government is going to have to deal with next year is this safety issue, because if the city of Melbourne doesn't want to cooperate, what do? How do we improve things, you know? So to an extent, yes, this is an extremely important topic. And yes, we all should be very aware of it and make sure that the university does everything they can to ensure our safety going into the commons. But again, this is a collaboration between the university and Melbourne City. We need to make sure that Melbourne City realize that this is important. So if it means the students need to come up and go all together, petition something to Melbourne City, that's something the president of SGA needs to do. Needs to make sure that the students are heard. If it's here, if it's Melbourne City Hall, if it's anywhere, for everybody to be able to make it to the commons without losing a leg or two.
All right, thank you. Brian, 1 minute rebuttal.
I'm going to have to agree and disagree with Gail. I agree that this is going to be an initiative that needs to be addressed to the city of Melbourne and to the administration, right? But I disagree with the fact that I believe you said that that we need to do this all at once. I think that if we took small steps, if we just took the initiative, that first step, right? That journey starts with that first step, right? So if we initially address the issue, then I think that's the only way that we can actually begin this transition towards safety. Because I don't think it's just about the Florida Tech Commons. It's about safety across the campus as a whole. Obviously, on university, we've had a couple accidents this year, and hopefully we can avoid that just with more attention towards safety. I know there are crosswalks on university, and most people are only aware about the one between Crawford and Clemente, that one. But there are also other ones that have just been eroded away from wear and tear. Like, we should just repaint those crosswalks. That's only like, oops, excuse me.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
Excuse me, but is $14,000 not worth the life of a student? The school is looking at putting across Babcock a bridge. That bridge that they're lobbying for, they're also going to be lobbying with obviously the city of Melbourne, is worth $3 million, but they're still thinking about doing it. They still want to do it, and that is for the safety of you guys. That are projects that the school wants to push, and if they're pushing for it and we're pushing for it and we can get student involvement, we can get letters, we can get people working towards that, I mean, that'd be awesome. People would be safer. It's definitely worth the money. The safety of a student is worth any amount of money.
I'd like to ask 30 seconds since both their argument.
I'm okay with that. Go for it.
So first of all, to address what Brian said, I agree with him. What I meant by as a whole, I meant as a student body. We should take small steps. I agree with you, but as a whole student body. And yes, I think that $14,000 are not worth someone dying. I'd rather spend that money and much more. But where are we pulling this money out of? And can't this money be used in a better way? Safety is a two-way street. Everybody needs to be aware of it. Everybody needs to collaborate to stay safe, students and car drivers.
Would either candidate like an additional 30-second rebuttal? 30-second.
You can use 15 out of the 30 if you want.
You can go first. I believe the school has an office of expansion. I'm sure we can pull money out of their pockets, or at least we'll start negotiating with some administration. I'm sure there's money available towards the safety of this school. This is obviously negative PR if someone gets hit on the university weekly, and the school is obviously not going to be very much like that.
Andrew, 30 seconds.
I would like to say that this money isn't only coming from the school, and we could definitely get it very easily. We have donors donate, millions of dollars all the time. $14,000 is chump change. Also, if we're working with the city's got a budget. We can work with them. We can work out a deal.
All right, thank you. Actually, the next question goes to you, Andrew. With the addition of the football program, there have been some concerns that Florida Tech may lose its focus on academics. Do you feel the program risks watering down the academic integrity of the university?
I know the president is very into football. I know the vice provost is very into academics. They're butting heads about it. I think they're going to be very careful, especially with that dynamic, about not hurting the academics. I know the football team, when they were getting recruited, they weren't offered full scholarships or anything like that. The money still went towards students for academics.
Gal, 1 minute rebuttal.
I completely don't think so. It's a known fact that if you enjoy your environment, you'll do more in it. I believe that by the fact that if there's a football game, some people say screw homework, let's go to the football game. But some people would say, let's finish this homework earlier so we can go watch the game. This improves school spirit. School spirit is always good. Yes, it may be that due to the fact that a lot of players are coming in, and some people can say they're not the smartest or they are. Nothing involved in that. I think that the athletic department is extremely strict about grading, about levels of academics of their athletes. So the other way around, I think that due to the fact there is this restriction and more people are joining this restriction, this will actually help the university.
Brian, 1 minute rebuttal.
I do want to make a point that with the addition of the Florida Tech football team, the grade point average for the fall semester did drop a little bit. But there is no direct correlation between the activity of football and the drop in academics, right? So, I mean, obviously I know a bunch of student athletes. Many of you are probably student athletes. And, I mean, that's the point, right? You're student athletes, and those athletes will put their grades first because that's what they're here to do. And I'm not going to make any judgments on who they are or what they do, but I'm going to put my faith in them that they are putting their priorities in order.
All right, thank you. Brian, the next question goes to you.
Okay.
How would you handle a situation in which a senator or member of the executive board was found to be guilty of an unlawful act, such as underage drinking?
Very tough decision, since I'm sure most of us deal with that on a daily, not underage drinking, but cut that out, no, I'm kidding. That's a good point. Obviously, when you take up a position like student government or as a senator or exec board, you are the face of the student body and of the school. And you have to obviously put that at the forefront of your mind. So when you start taking risks like that, I'm gonna obviously you're gonna be held accountable no matter who you are, whether you're my best friend or my worst enemy, you're gonna be held accountable for what you do. And that goes counteractively, right? That if you do something really well, I'm gonna obviously reward you for it. But if you don't, then you're gonna be held accountable, like I said.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
If you're part of student government and you're caught for underage drinking, it's not really, the person that holds you accountable is the dean of students, Rodney. It's the school. You're going to be, based off how bad it was, you're going to make different charges. You're going to have different consequences to your actions. And I know that in our binders, it talks about if you go on academic probation, disciplinary probation, there are consequences to that. You can lose your position. So it's not really, I'll hold you accountable to a degree, but it's not my main job to take disciplinary action against the Senate members. That's the job of Rodney.
Gal, 1 minute rebuttal.
I think that when you establish to the Senate that they represent the student body, you need to make them feel important. If they feel important and they understand they represent the student body in everyday actions, they will know, at least don't get caught, But I'm kidding. They will know to act on a better judgment. They'll know that at the end of the day, they're accountable for everything they do. Personally, I've gone through it before. A couple of us in student government have gone through this before. But at the end of the day, if you're true to yourself and this is who you are, you need to make sure you at least represent the university in a manner that would not embarrass yourself, your organization, or anyone surrounding the organization. As a president of student government, I would like to encourage the Senate to be the best they can be and not punish them. That's Dean Bowers' job, again, as Andrew mentioned.
Thank you. The next question goes to you, Gal. What do you want your legacy to be when you leave Florida Tech?
A legacy is interesting because legacy can go in many different ways. You can decide that you want to leave your name on a building, or you can decide that you want to leave the grounds for a building. I think that, to an extent, this is the time where, just like the university is building a bunch of buildings, it's time for the student body to lay their foundation on what they want to do. The student body is not united. There's very big groups around campus. There's the athletes, the Greeks, and the regular student body. Some of them do mix around, but most of them are very split. If there's one thing I'd want to leave behind is to unite the student body. I think that the student body as a whole can do great things. The student body as a whole has a lot of power. And the problem is we're all separated into our own little issues, into our teams, into our fraternities, into our organizations, that nobody communicates. Nobody knows each other. I went to talk to someone and they don't know who I am. And it's okay. No, I don't know everybody. But at the same time, when I say I'm the vice president of student government, or the president of student government, or the president of any fraternity, they should be able to get to a point in which they can get more from me. They can become friends. They can become co-workers. At the end of the day, my personal legacy would be to leave the student body as united as possible. So next SJA's debate won't be 3 people, but would be 10. They'll get to a point in which student government would be the leading, I guess, crane you can call it, I don't know how you call it, the train thingy? Sorry. Leading the train of the student body. That's what student government should be doing. And my goal, again, is to unify everyone so student government represents them and everyone has their voice heard, everyone joins together, and do great things. After all, you saw homecoming. We all came together in homecoming, and it was crazy this year. We had 1,000+ people at the talent show, just having pure fun. Why don't we do this on a daily basis? Because we're not united.
Andrew, 1 minute rebuttal.
Before my rebuttal, could you repeat the question one more time, please? I apologize.
What do you want your legacy to be when you leave Florida Tech?
When I leave Florida Tech, I want it's not necessarily my legacy. It's that after I leave, I know that down the road, 5 years down the road in the future, my actions, my decisions, the things that I accomplish now will help students that way they see, that way, it may not help me, but it helps them, it helps the school develop. With student government, I want to leave the framework so that after the executive leaves, they can keep on with the projects and they have that mindset of down the road, big picture. We're doing projects that kids are going to see, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That's how you do the big things. You can't just think of the here and now. You can't just change a meal plan. You can't just change, what they're serving for lunch. You have to think scholarships, projects, building. I think big.
Thank you. Brian, 1 minute rebuttal.
I don't think Andrew could have said it any better, and I'm not going to try to, but I think trying to leave a legacy for yourself is a little self-arrogant. I don't think that one person can leave a legacy. I think a whole student body can leave a legacy that if my son comes back 40 years to Florida Tech, I can be proud and he's going to be happy saying, oh, my dad went to this school, and he's going to tell it to his friends. They're just going to be proud. And I want to leave that kind of legacy that I want everybody to be proud of their alma mater, because that's what this is. College is your alma mater.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a break for just a moment so that FITV can change their tapes, and the president and I will discuss potential follow-up questions.
All right, so at this point in time, we're going to open the floor for questions from the audience. So if anyone has any questions, we'll follow the same format, 2-minute answer, 1 minute. Well, I'll just leave it straight across for 1 minute responses to all of them, so that way that we don't have any biasness here. So does anyone have any questions from the audience at all? Or any situations that you want to see what their opinions are on?
Not enough.
Okay, so I know this year student government just started their green initiative to make campus a more green place. How would you, as a president, implement better green initiatives?
You guys mind if I take that one first? Sweet. All right, so thank you for the question. That's actually something I've been working on all year long with Dr. Lindemann. We're, as of right now, putting in a report to the Quality of Life Committee's report to the President. And hopefully, the way we want to get things going is we started small. If you guys noticed, the facilities golf carts have a new sign on them showing that they're solar panel, they're powered by solar power. For those of you who don't know, those are all 100% solar power. I think that the way we can push green initiative is by showing people that it's not very hard. If we put a trash can, a recycling bin in every room, it's not hard to just put it there. If we have a big recycling bin outside on every floor of a building just to throw it in and someone will pick it up, it is not very hard. At the end of the day, what my goal is with this project is to get to a point in which the student sees a piece of paper on their hand, sees a trash can and a recycling, and goes to the recycling, because it's the same process. It's easy. At the sub, it's crazy easy, and yet I see people picking the regular trash can. That's not how it's supposed to go. I want to make things a bit easier, kind of educate, but not very much. Just show them, hey, this is easy. We get an easy button. That was easy.
Well, I guess it's
No time, so go for it.
No, it's 1 minute.
No time, so go on.
yeah.
For everybody.
Like I was talking, I think it's just coming down to a reevaluation of our resources. I'm not too familiar with your project with Dr. Lindemann, and I hope that doesn't reflect on me negatively. So I really would like to have the opportunity to learn more about this green initiative. I mean, obviously I'll put the time into it, and obviously I'll come up with more creative ideas. Like I was talking to about the electric bill thing, where if we cut power from Olin or put in motion sensors, not exactly cut power, but if we put in motion sensors, then we'll reduce the electric bill by 4%. And that comes out to $56,000 for the University of St. Louis. And I mean, obviously there's, like Gail was saying, recycling, just making people more aware and more respectful of our campus. I think that's a better way than just putting all this money into going green. It's just a reevaluation.
If you really want to launch the sustainability mission, you need to promote awareness. People need to be aware of what they can do. You need to educate them how it affects, how it helps the environment, how it helps save resources. If they know how them putting that bottle in there and what happens to that bottle, them, recycling that paper and what happens to that paper and how it helps, other people, how it helps the green initiative, then they're going to be more compelled to do it because they know what's going to happen and how they're helping out versus I don't know anything about it. I'm passing by. I'm like, oh, either trash cans. I mean, they're just going to do whatever. You don't know. The other idea is that we're an engineering school. We can definitely get student projects working on that. We can get them working on, better like solar. I know there's a lot of research on solar panels right now. It's an investment that you have to make in the short run, but in the long run, you save money, and it promotes awareness. Just projects, awareness, education.
Thank you. Do we have further questions?
For those who were on student government, either Gal or Andrew, thank you. What were you able to accomplish, for example, as vice president, and what would you like to accomplish as president, and how do you think that'll be different from a position such as vice president? As I've been on SGA, and I've seen Joe Noel as vice president who accomplished a lot in that position. So how do you think that would be different being president and not vice president anymore?
I guess that's a direct question. How do you deal with that?
This is a little difficult.
Just to rephrase that, I think, so that way all candidates have a better way of asking, because I'm sure all candidates have had some sort of experience in a higher up leadership position. So to organize it that way a little bit better, still directed towards you as your student government positions, but I'm sure you've had some sort of leadership position, whether it be a particular head of a committee or an executive committee. So in that sense, what have you done, and what do you plan to do in the shifting of roles as you go from a different level to president?
Brian, would you like to go first?
Fancy, thank you. Obviously, I wasn't on SGA, but however, I was on IFC, which is the Interfraternal Council for all the fraternities, and I was executive vice president there, so that kind of correlates really well. And one of the things I really wanted to stress was academics for Greeks, and just in general. I started a new scholarship, and we started putting money into a trust fund. And over the next 12 and a half years, that money will grow into $25,000, and eventually that will help fund new students into joining new Greek organizations for free. And hopefully, obviously, that takes the money away from the money reason why people won't want to join Greeks. And I've also put in a new card swipe system into the library. And that system, instead of having to sign into binders, we've actually digitalized it, and we use our cards now, and we can actually log our study hours using our ID cards.
Andrew, 1 minute.
I've been with student government for 2 years. I've been the academic committee head. Big projects that I've with the help of my committee, obviously, that we've accomplished is bringing the biomedical engineering program for undergraduates that starts next fall here. There's the scholarship that we're working on. We need to make the $25,000 for the endowment. We increased funding for a lot of the biological science labs. We had a lot of complaints from students for that, so we worked with the deans. We worked with the directors. We worked with the executive members of the school to accomplish these tasks. Building those relationships will help in the future, and through those relationships, I can introduce those people to the members. I can get those members working with those people. They can know where those people are at. They can have, from my experience, the process thinking. They can do the steps. They can get the goals. I appreciate all the work that my committee members do. I let them know that I depend on them, and I let them know clearly what they have to do and how to do it, and that motivates them. And a lot of times they'll come to me, hey, I don't know how to do this, and I'll say, this is where you got to go, this is how you got to talk. This is who you got to talk to.
Gal, 1 minute.
It's a question I couldn't answer in 1 minute, but I really will try. First of all, to answer your question about me being as a vice president, I agree with you more than anyone else that I did not accomplish as much as I would like to. I feel that the problem with that was, again, the structure we have with student government. There was no incentive for people to work, including the executive board. At the end of the day, the executive board needs to have someone pulling them and giving them a motivation. I'm not the only member of the executive board who kind of throughout the time just gave up, because it happened. But to answer furthermore your question, the projects that I did get accomplished with Andrew Hernandez, by the way, and his academic committee is, first of all, the lab review, which they've been working on very hard, and that's mostly their credit, but that was something that Dr. McKay and I talked about, and they took over it. The second thing is obviously the sustainability thing, which there is a lot of big things going on in this project that I would love to share with you guys, but I can't as of right now. Two questions.
This question is directed to all three candidates. How important do you think are non-Greek and non-athletic organizations to a campus? Do you think these organizations are currently supported by the school, and how can you help?
The people you just mentioned make up the majority of the school. No? Those organizations are, I mean, obviously important. Everybody's important. Could you repeat the question? Stop the clock. Okay. I think they're very important. They play an important dynamic in the school. Greek life plays an important social dynamic. They play another social dynamic. I mean, obviously those groups are, you know, those organizations attract people with different personalities. That's what happens with all organizations. Everything they do helps out a lot. I know giving them more support would be upping the quality here. We're really focused on expanding, but I think we're losing sight of, you know, really helping the organizations. I know that you can't get capital goods through SAFC, but there's definitely ways to do it. Gifts in kind through fundraising that can help a lot with those organizations. That can get you really quality resources that you can use. That'll bring more students to you. That'll give you more ability to accomplish more. Sailing club could use motorboats. I know ISS could use more funding. I mean, they wanted to do a cultural event, and they had like a certain traditional like object that they use, but we could only fund so much of it.
I don't think you guys understand how important you guys are as an international community to Florida Tech. A majority of our campus, about, I believe it's 20%. I don't know that number. I'm just going out there with 20%. Actually are international students from all around the world. And how else are they going to start getting integrated if they can't find people who, you know, obviously match their own cultures? Because if I went to a different university in a different country, I'd be totally lost. Different language, different backgrounds and stuff. I think that gives people a good way to start interacting with everybody. Definitely international societies and clubs are a good way to help integrate those people. So I definitely think that's a good way to, you guys are really important, don't get me wrong. So.
All right, so to answer your question, first of all, by categorizing it, you're proving my point. that we are a campus that is divided. But let's keep this division for now. The organizations that are not Greek or athletic, first of all, as of 2 years ago, the Student Government Association got the activities fee that every student pays $30 a semester, and that money goes all towards organization. All organizations can request money from the Student Activities Funding Committee, and all of them, after a semester of probation, which they need in order to exist as an organization, can ask for as much money as they want, obviously with some restrictions in the SAFC document. I believe that these organizations sometimes don't know where to go. I think that part of, again, the process of student government structure, there's something faulty that when we communicate it to the students and to the other organizations, they don't know what to do. And that's, again, my first thing that I want to do, improve structure. We need more structure, more written stuff, better procedure meetings, better resources for students to be able to see the procedures everywhere online. Okay, now how do you record and ask a question? Here. Turn the camera, 180, ask the question and bring it back. Oh, I used to love the camera jobs.
Let's see.
You don't want to be on camera?
If structure and communication are two large difficulties that we're having to deal with as a student body, how do you feel about the existing communications networks that exist on campus? Like my organization and the Crimson and the Media Board, which is, as of now, much an underground sort of system that isn't really utilized.
Thank you very much for that question. I was really hoping someone asks it. This goes back to what you said in the first part of your question. There is such a bad communication around with the students that they don't know that the Crimson exists, and they can write articles. If you did something cool over the weekend, you want to share it with the student body, you did something over the semester, something new, you want to complain, you want to bring up an idea, you can always talk to these guys first. The problem is, again, the students, when they get here and when they're here, they don't have a center where they can go, okay, what am I doing? How am I doing? Where can I do this? Where can I do that? What is this person's job? What is that person's job? Organizations, etc. That is something that technically, with access, that should be coming up anytime soon, right, Mr. President? But with access, we'll kind of have a unity of a couple of all these things, like the calendars online and things like that. But I think that at the end of the day, to improve the structure, the foundation of all the communication things around campus, things will just go better. Because we can, if we don't talk, how we know what happens, you know?
Could you clarify the question again?
It really made his life.
If two of our largest problems as a student body are that we are disjointed and we don't communicate effectively, how do you feel about the existing communication networks that are available and aren't really utilized?
Well, obviously I feel bad. I wish they were more utilized. Part of the problem I hear a lot, I don't know if this is absolutely true or not, is that they're short-staffed. It's hard for students to, write an essay every 2 weeks, however many times the Crimson comes out. Sometimes they write 2 or 3. That's what happens when they're short-staffed. That's a lot of time. And being an engineering school, a rigorous academic school, that time's hard to come by. They have high credit hours. They have challenging majors. If they could get more support, if we could help them catch the attention of more students, if we could, like I always say, it's making clear goals and step-by-step process. I mean, that's going to make students motivated. You have to find out what makes them tick, what makes them want to read the paper. They have to have a reason to read it. It has to be clear where the paper is. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know what's in the paper, what they're writing. I read the paper.
Can I ask for another 30-second response to these after them? Sorry, I forgot you didn't go. Thanks.
All right. I know Luke really enjoyed Andrew Hernandez's speech. He was like bobbing his head the entire time. I would like to say that I think that the Crimson is very aware, or not the Crimson. People are very aware of the Crimson, and I mean I read the Crimson at least whenever it comes out because it obviously has a lot of good stuff. But FITV, I know you do a lot of work with that, Luke, and I know that you put a lot of hard work, and people do enjoy it. I don't get the campus wrong that people do enjoy FITV and Channel 99, and I think you guys do a really good job. But I definitely think it's at different areas where that we can use improvement on collaboration and communication. It's not. I'm not talking about the Crimson or the FITV. I'm talking about just between different clubs. Like if I had to go to Custom Car Club and they want to do something with ISSO, then they should be able to. There shouldn't be any barriers or any feelings of not wanting to communicate.
Again, I'd like to ask for 30 seconds to respond to those rebuttals.
Maybe I should clarify.
No, well, that would kind of make the question different.
Go for it.
Yeah. You know what? Sure, what the hell? I'm not going to hurry anywhere.
Really what I was getting at was that, if I don't choke myself here, that you guys, as a student government, it seems that you know, there's this huge resource that isn't used for the things that you are describing. You know, a lot of the times, you know, organizations will finally come to us, to the TV station, as if they're scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to get themselves out there to the rest of campus, when really it should be them, it should be every club, all the time, and it would really be in my best interest, and you would gain a lot of favor in terms of me and my club if I could have some sort of security in you know, you ensuring more effective communication through channels that are, you know, wide open, ready to accept communication to the rest of the students.
So really quickly to address that, one of the things that I want to do is we have our public relations committee that don't really do public relations. The first thing I want to do with public relations if I get elected is change it so that they're a lot more in touch with you guys at FITV and the Crimson, writing articles at every Crimson no matter what. One of the things that Andrew mentioned is that they're short-staffed. The reason they're short-staffed is because students don't see the motivation to write for them. When I used to write for the Crimson, my editorial about doing money online, I told my friends, come read this article, and more people started reading. We need to get them to want to use this program.
That's right, 30 seconds. Luke, I want to apologize for what I said. I didn't know the circumstances. But definitely I want to improve that, obviously. Like I said, I just want to open lines of communication between all organizations. So if he's getting trouble and you want an advertisement, then obviously you guys should collaborate. That's all I'm trying to say. That if I can be that liaison between you two. If you need me to say, I need an advertisement, let me go talk to Luke, and I'll get you that advertisement. At least that's what I'm trying to do.
You are doing exactly what we need students to do. You have your opinion and you're voicing it. You feel a certain way. You're lobbying for your cause. That's what we want to do. I hear you loud and clear. We can definitely work on it. Let's do it. Let's come up with a game plan. Let's get a step-by-step process. Let's get people working on it, and let's get more people involved.
Does our advisor, Steve Bowers, have a last question?
Well, I think they all did a great job. I think you should give them a chance to give a final statement for the end of this.
That was our plan. We just wanted to see if you had a last.
Congratulations to all three candidates. Wish you all best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to allow everybody a 1-minute closing statement, and I'm going to start with Andrew.
Okay, we get to think about it.
Your minutes start.
A closing statement. I hope you all enjoyed the debates. I hope it came through clear, a lot of the projects that I want to do, how I think, who I am, the things I want to do for the students, for the organizations. I hope you guys see, what I'm about, and I hope that helps you make a clear decision about who you vote for. So thank you for coming, listening, watching. I appreciate it. I'm sure all the other candidates appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to thank you guys for your time. I hope we didn't bore you. I know it's kind of drawn out. It took like an hour. I just want to say that you guys should vote for the best person. I don't want to say vote for me, because I want SGA to do whatever it can for the campus as a whole, and I want it to really improve. So if you guys feel like there's a person who can do that, who isn't me, I'm all for it, because I will still be here and I will still be offering my support.
Besides the obvious thank you very much for being here, I'd like to encourage you all to come and say hi. I love meeting new people. I'm sitting, if you guys pass by the wooden bridge, you'll see me sitting on that ledge right out there by the sub almost every day for at least 2 hours. I love to meet you guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I think we have 3 great candidates here. I think that at the end of the day, the question that you guys need to ask yourselves is, who would represent you the best in all terms, not only social, but also academic? At the end of the day, we all had our terms, and the only thing I can say about myself is that I like the student body. I think that I can represent the student body in a good way, but at the same time, we have great candidates all around, so make a good decision. Take your time. You have a whole week to decide it, I think, and make a wise decision.
I'll keep this. All right, again, thank you all for being here and listening to the candidates. I did talk to our head of elections. He says that tomorrow we should have the website up and operational, so you guys should see an email going out tomorrow, and we'll let those elections run till the end of the week, of the following week, obviously. So end of next week, Friday, those elections will end, and we will announce the elected positions on the Wednesday meeting, mandatory for all organizations. A reminder for all of you organizations, as well as the ones watching on TV, Student Leader Luncheon is tomorrow. If you haven't RSVP'd, please RSVP and make sure you're there. It's mandatory for all organizations. It's at 12 p.m. in the Hartley Room. It's a free buffet for all of you. This is your chance to ask the executive board questions about the university and things that they're working on, as well as push them towards things that they definitely need to think about and improve. So again, thank you all for being here. Our candidates will be around. Don't forget our other candidates for vice president and treasurer, as well as the senators. And we will see you in 2 weeks, and good luck.